And we synchronize your customers from Acumatica into Salesforce. So if I just take a look at one example, Monarch Airways, we added this to the Acumatica instance that we have running. And Monarch Airways, we have a billing address, we have a shipping address entered into Acumatica. Of course, that comes across, phone number, customer code. This is customer number 1. And we actually have down below, if you're familiar with Salesforce, and most of the people that come to us are familiar with Salesforce by the time they reach us, you'll notice you have your standard, opportunities, cases, notes, etc. We've added the additional information, the Acumatica customer record, and you'll notice that there's one record. You've got all the different fields, so I'm showing you the credit limits, the status of the customer, are they active or not? And if I click on the actual customer record itself, you'll see that I've got all of the different fields coming out of Acumatica. For example, what is their open orders balance? It's 1.25 million. They're a USD customer. Their credit verification feature is disabled. They have an unreleased balance of $10. And there's a bunch more information. If you expand that, you get all the extra information that may not be necessary for you to put on the screen, such as their terms, their 30-day terms. Now, the nice thing with what we do is we bring over all of the information. So for the folks that are familiar with Salesforce screen layouts, it's simply a matter of clicking on Edit Layout, and then the administrator of your customer's administrator can come in here and say, you know what, we don't use that the FOB feature, so I'm going to take that off, and we don't need the lead time nor the print. I don't really care to tell my salespeople whether this customer likes to have invoices printed or not, or statements. So I'm going to remove those from the screen, and I'm going to come down and change some of the fields that I see in these related lists. And I see I've got, was that a contact? So I've got the first name, the city, the email, the phone, the position on the web. City is a bit too granular for me, so I'm going to remove that field, and I'm going to add country. Okay, and make it sort it by the name, and click on OK. So manipulating what you see on the screen is part of the Salesforce functionality. The reason why I'm demonstrating it to you is because your customers have the luxury of choosing what they see. We're not controlling that. We give them a template, and we try to make the template very similar to what you see in Acumatica today by default, and then the customer can rearrange their screens as they need. Another topic comes up, and I mentioned it briefly. Here we have Monarch Airways as the account, and in Acumatica it's simple. We have Monarch Airways. But if you did have multiple Monarch Airways, maybe you had Monarch Airways in the United States, one in the UK, and one in Germany, and they might be 3 separate customers inside of Acumatica with 3 different customer codes. It is possible to roll up multiple customers under a single account, which is important for CRM, because in CRM you like to click on Monarch Airways and see everything about that Monarch Airways account. And we've got there's quite a few other scenarios that people come up with of how to roll up customers, and we can accommodate all of those different scenarios. Scrolling down, we see the Acumatica sales invoices, the customer contacts coming out of Acumatica. Now we populate the standard objects as well in Salesforce with the contact record. We have also the Acumatica sales order records. So if I just click on a sales order, we've typed these in, by the way. So we had pretty much a bit of an empty Acumatica database, so we've created some sample data in Acumatica. So here we see the account, the sales order header, and we've got the it's not on hold. It's an open order. Order total was 129,300. The line total is 118. Miscellaneous totals. Payment method is check. They're going to pay us by check apparently. And there's an unpaid balance of 129,300. They're from the soft branch. To scroll down a bit, see we have everything, so it's just a matter of removing fields. Is tax valid? And then down here we have the actual detail lines. What was on the sales order? And we have 1 Lego 500-piece set, 4 consulting services, 5 picnic tables, and 7 Lego 500 sets. Each of them have a quantity and a price. And if we were to drill down into one of these items, let's take the Lego set here. Oh, sorry, consulting service, right? If you drill down into the actual item, we'll see the granular detail about that line item. We can see the unit price, 450, 24 of them. The availability, average cost, and for example, average cost, you might say, it's nice, but I don't need that. I don't want to show that to my salespeople in Salesforce. And so you would do what I did earlier. You would modify the screen layout and just remove those fields. So to synchronize in the fields, it's great. They're all there. You just use them if you want them. And go back one screen. And just one more back to the account screen. I always think of the account screen as like the home page for the customer. So on the account screen, we've got the sales orders. We've got the customer contacts, sales invoices. So if I click on one of these invoices, we can see that this invoice, payment method is check. It's not on hold. The type is invoice. Balance is $25,000. And it was for 2 items, an advert and a customization. 5,000 and 20,000 makes 25,000. And if you drill down into the details, of course, you'll see all the details. Okay. Now, it's nice to have all the information. The next thing you often want to do is create dashboards and reports. And so what we do as an application for Salesforce is we synchronize the data in to Salesforce, and then the customer will often come up with their own dashboards and reports. So every customer has different requirements. They might set up a dashboard to show me, my top 10 overdue customers sorted by value. Or another customer might say, I want my top 10 overdue customers sorted by date, and then value. And the ability to create those dashboards and graphs is all part of the standard Salesforce functionality. So if you went to the dashboard screen, you'd be able to obviously create your own dashboards and graphs and pull in all the information. Products. I will tell you about the products and why we synchronize them in. Obviously, you've got a product list in Acumatica. You most likely, not always, but very often, will want that same product list inside of Salesforce. And I say that because we found that every single customer wants something a little bit different. And, there's quite a few customers that do not want to sync their product list for whatever reason, but some do. So when we synchronize in the product list, we bring in obviously the product code, the description. This is a computer keyboard. The product code is keyboard. This would be straight from Acumatica. We'll bring in the standard list price from Acumatica. We can also bring in multiple list prices, and usually it's the customer that tells us which ones to use and which ones to bring in. And pricing is very often also performed in Salesforce, and they say, don't bring in the pricing from the ERP. We're going to redefine it inside of Salesforce with their Salesforce team, and that's something that they will decide on. But the whole purpose of putting in the products is obviously you can also have inventory availability, which we're going to add. The purpose of having the products is so that you can go to your opportunities or orders inside of Salesforce, and you can create an opportunity and sell something to somebody. After you sell something to somebody inside of Salesforce, you obviously want that to flow back to Acumatica. So what I'm going to do right now is do 2 things. I'm going to create a new account, and I'm just going to call them XYZ Inc. And I'm going to go for 555 Maple Street, New York, New York. Give it a just very basic customer, XYZ Inc. with an address. Click on Save. And if we go over to Opportunities, and I create a new opportunity, and let's call it Sale to XYZ. And I'll pick my XYZ account that I just created. Set a close date for the end of the month. We'll just say we're prospecting at this stage, or we'll just jump it all the way to negotiation and review. And these are all standard Salesforce functions that you would choose. And give it a description. Sale of computer equipment. And we will add some products to this. I'm just going to add some keyboards. Okay, so we'll go add a product. We'll just sell them just for simplicity, just one keyboard. And I'll put there three keyboards and save. And by the way, the procedure that I'm showing you is a very common procedure in Salesforce, and this is where the Salesforce consultants take the customer through this cycle, the sales cycle, where they create an opportunity, they add some products, and then if they're going to do multiple quotes and follow-up quotes, with revisions, etc., then they would also use, it's not on the screen, but there's a quotation functionality. And basically what you do is you click create a new quote, and it copies whatever you listed as a product item on your opportunity. It pops it into a quote, and you can then do multiple revisions, etc.
Now the next thing is to import the customer from the account. So here we can see XYZ Inc. was imported into Acumatica. The customer code was generated automatically. That's controlled by you. And the address lines are imported as well as the phone number, etc. If we go across to the sales order and pull up that sales order in Acumatica, we'll see the sales order number was number 28 for XYZ Inc. And it was a sale to XYZ that came out of the description on the CRM system. We sold them 3 different keyboards. Importing data to Acumatica is customizable if you need to affect certain fields or pull data from certain fields in the CRM, or even different objects. We demonstrated bringing in data from the opportunity object. However, you can bring it in from any object, custom or standard.